I've long believed it's not a great idea to have your house full of your own paintings. It's a little bit like having a singer and just hearing your own voice all the time. That's why over the years I've tried to collect or swap in many occasions paintings with other artists, especially the artists that I really do admire and respect. So I thought today I'd show you a few of these. So first I have beautiful David Curtis painting. This is actually featured in one of his DVDs, I believe. I only just acquired this last year. And I've known of David's work since the early 90s and wanted to get the chance to paint with him and also swap and plan future painting trips is always going to be fantastic. So we'll just go through a couple more. Just have a little Mike Hernandez here. Each painter, you normally resonate with something in their work or of their work. And with this one, I think Mike's just got a lovely expressive brush mark, and also he's just got a really lovely use of colour. And this was one of my prized ones of Brian Mark Taylor. I got this when he was visiting Salt Lake City. He was just finishing a workshop and I was just about to start. We'd met a few years prior, but never got the chance to do anything artistically, as in swapping a painting. That's a lovely little, beautifully painted and broadish work. And now we've got an Australian artist, Peter Smales, English born, but Melbourne, Australia raised. He's a tonal impressionist, and in Australian terms, he would have done a course of just working monochromatically with paint with one colour and then building up on that. And you weren't allowed to go to colour until your work had reached a certain level of proficiency. And I don't mind what I collect. Sometimes it'll be something that I want to one day maybe paint myself, and portraits are one of the things that I want to move kind of back into. I've done quite a bit of figurative work over the years, but not as much portraiture. So this is the one thing that I'd love to get into. And Lee, as in Lee Macalac, another Melbourne painter, she wondered why anyone would want a dull, dreary painting, self-portrait of her. But I think it's a spectacular painting, just so clever and so accurate, very disciplined, and a beautiful little work there. I'm really pleased that's part of my collection. And this is an artist by the name of Bill Odd. He didn't get super well known in his career. He was kind of more like a 70s, 80s and 90s artist, and I believe he got to the point where his wife was losing her sight. So he elected to wind up his painting and move into a caring position for his wife. So very unselfish of him. But interesting thing was, as a 19-year-old, I used to do some of his picture framing. He would buy 100 feet of moulding, which was about 10 lengths, and we would cut them up into sizes that he would then go and use. So I kind of had an early connection there with Bill. Oh, actually, this painting was actually owned by a good family friend, and I always admired it. And after he passed, his wife was letting go of a certain amount of paintings, and she gave me one of the first choices to choose anything, and this was one that I always wanted. So that definitely has a prized position. The fact that I've known of it for so long and I've admired it for so long. And this is a James Richards. He's an Atlanta-based American painter, very experimental in his approach, and that I do admire with James's work. And this was just a little one. I'm not sure if it's a plein air piece. He does do quite a bit of plein air work, but that's a real favourite of mine, mainly for the subject as well, not only the actual style. So here we have a Mitch Baird, a fellow artist with Tucson Art Academy, and I'd noticed this one in a gallery when I was teaching in Rockland, Maine, and I thought, boy, if that's there next time I catch up with Mitch, I'll ask him if he's keen to swap a painting, which we'd already swapped one, and he jumped at the chance. And after a little bit of wrangling with his friend Eric, having to go in, pick the painting up, and it got quite tricky. We were like ships in the night, Eric and I, to do the swap over. I believe this is a grape orchard or a vineyard in Arizona, I believe. But I just loved, actually, it's a different sort of colour scheme than I sort of tend to use, or that I've sort of not comfortable using, but or a colour scheme that I don't actually see very often. That's probably the main one. And here's a really lovely Matt Smith. I'd known of Matt's work since the late 90s, and I remember seeing his work in the magazines, and I thought I'd love to see his work one day, but boy, I'd even love to meet him one day. So to get the chance in 2019, I believe, to actually meet and for Matt to be keen to swap a painting, that's really marvellous. And almost the study in blue, that one. And this was another one that I picked up on my trip to England last year. It's a Trevor Chamberlain, once again, another artist that I've not only long admired, but I think has had a big impact on my work, other than, say, Sir Arthur Street and Harold Herbert, Richard Schmid, Trevor and David Curtis were kind of some of the leading lights that I saw. If I work hard enough, one day maybe my work will get close to theirs, or might get a little bit of that ring of quality, that little sort of touch of class that I feel that all the artists that I've collected, but especially Trevor and David's work. So it's only small, but Trevor, if you were to take a pause and a close look, that's a little lovely little subtle areas in that one. And I think because I used to love doing pencil drawing, and I used to do a little bit of the monochromatic work myself to help strengthen my eye for the light and dark, and especially with wanting to get contrast. This is a Charlie Hunter. I believe we swapped this in about 2018. Charlie was living not far from Langrove Inn, where I have taught, I think 5, 6, 7 times now. And I was thrilled that Charlie was keen to come over. We had lunch together, and we managed to swap a painting as well. So, and he has once again, quite a unique approach with sort of squeegees, and I think probably even some edges of the brushes. But I thought that was just a lovely composition, marvellous idea. And I think that's the great thing with monochromatic work. It teaches us to see not only light and dark, actually, but the other one is shape and interlocking shapes, groupings of shapes, looking for major shapes amongst smaller shapes. And that's really what a big part of what painting, and also looking for that great subject, is all about. So hopefully you enjoyed that. I still have quite a few more in my collection, and maybe later we'll get a chance to have a look at some of those. Thanks for watching, and all the best.